Hello and welcome to the Cellar. In this video, I will show you the problems I have with my ventilation at the moment and the way I try to tackle them. But before that, I wanted to talk about some comments I had about the Undercellar. Some people would like me to do something with the Undercellar, and I completely understand. It would be a great project, a cool project. Right now, I don't have any plans or intention to do something with it for myself, because I will have everything I need with the Cellar proper. But as I've said before, if I make money with the YouTube channel, I will put it towards an Undercellar project. I don't know what exactly could be done with it. If you have ideas, please leave them in the comments. And right now, thanks to the boost from the old Cellar 40 video, I am monetized. And as you'll see, it's quite impressive. I can almost buy 2 croissants. I try not to push the channel too much because I assume we all know how YouTube works. If you really want to see the Undercellar project done, it's up to you to subscribe to the channel, to like and comment and share it with friends. It's the only way I will be able to grow the income and put it towards the Undercellar. I don't need a large amount of funds, but I'm not doing that alone by myself with bucket and a shovel. I will need to find some solution like I did with the Cellar, with a huge vacuum or something like that. And maybe some help from some friends, so I will need a bit of money for the pizzas and kebabs and beers. Yeah, it will be a cool project. I understand the appeal. 2 things I want to add about that. Some people ask me to continue digging towards the street. This I won't do. First, because it would be quite dangerous, I think. And secondly, because it would be also illegal. I am not digging outside of my property lines, especially if I am to film it. So this is it for the Undercellar project announcement. Maybe, maybe not. It's really up to you. So now let's talk about the issue I have with my ventilation. I don't think it's as interesting as seeing me working on the wall, so if you want to skip this video, I understand. This video has been a bit difficult to make because I started with one idea and in the middle of it, I realized the extent of the problem and I had to change the approach. When I did the last tour, I noticed live, when I did it, that I had some condensation and water accumulating at the plenum. Okay, I have some water in here. Why? And I knew I had this issue. I knew I had water in the soft ducts. And last summer, I switched those soft ducts with hard pipes, and I stopped monitoring the issue. This winter, I didn't really check and appraise the situation. A couple of weeks ago, I noticed some water below the pipe, and I was a bit perplexed because my dehumidifier hasn't been running this winter, so I didn't understand why there was water, but in fact, the water is coming from the condensation on the walls of the pipe, and it was dripping down there. So we can see that I have a bit of water here. The pipes are not glued together, so it's leaking in the connection points. I tried to have a slope in here, so maybe it's not enough. I also have a bigger issue with the condensation around here. So as you can see, this is moldy and rotten because the water also condensates on those points because it's a low point in the circuit. So the idea would be to use this that way, connect it here, and have something on the top to make the water condense, and so it would condense at the bottom on this part. I had a plan involving 3D printing, a bit of an idea I had for forcing the condensation at one point in the network. So let's go to my desk to show you what I mean. I have warm, humid water coming from the Undercellar. I guess it would be like 15 degrees C inside the Undercellar, more or less. And in the cellar, in the air, it's at the minimum around 9 degrees C. When the humid air comes into the pipe, it tends to condensate on the side of the pipe. So the idea would be to try to minimize the condensation everywhere in the pipe by having it condensate in a particular point. I want to have some kind of radiators that lets the air pass through, with a huge surface area for the water to condensate on, and another radiator that would be in the ambient air to put this one at the same temperature. Also, it would be a passive system. So this is the second version of the part. So now I have 2 of those. Looks quite smart. Alright, I have all my PCs now. I have the new part for the pipe. I have the inserts. The last part of the ID is the tank at the bottom of the pipe. With this, and this, I have all that I need to test my ID. When trying to install my invention, I realized the extent of the issue, notably inside the crawl space where a lot of the pipes were quite full of water. The plenum I used in the crawl space also was full of water. So let's go in the crawl space now. So first of all, I can see we have a lot of water collecting on the underneath, which is maybe a bit more than I was expecting. So yeah, I really need to think about my whole system. And there is water. Oh, I think everything is full of water, which is great. So great. Yeah, this is absolutely full of water. Okay. At least we're sure now. Let's see if that is something that could work. I guess it could work. It will work very well, so... But as we can see, everything is wet. So I'm beginning to feel a bit silly about this, because honestly I don't know what work they could do. The main part of the exercise was still to have the tank at the bottom. Yeah, I should have monitored the situation way better than I did. So that's to do. Yeah, it should work. So I fitted my tank, I shortened it a little, and now it's holding with only a shim of electrical tape. And believe me, it is stronger than it looks. When you are outside, smelling the air coming from the cellar, it smells definitely of a moldy cellar odor, which you don't have inside the cellar. I think there is a lot of mold inside the ducts, inside the manifold, and this is giving the smell. Just so you understand the depth of the issue, this is nightmare fuel. And yeah, we definitely have water coming in here. Yeah, I think it's coming from the top one, which is the big one in the middle of the cellar. I was a bit down at this moment. I took a bit of time to reflect upon it, and I decided to remove all the obstructing network in the crawl space, the plenum, all the pipes. In the end, I think it's better to have a free flow of air, and I will try to control the amount of air going through the crawl space versus through the undercellar with another way. I think I've improved the situation by removing the water in the crawl space in all the ducts that had it. Also, the temperature has risen a bit now. Also, I have increased the speed of the fan, and I think it's helping the air move a bit faster, remove the water that was stagnating in those pipes. So I'll go into the crawl space, and I want to remove the manifold in here and the pipe, and I just want to have this outlet in the crawl space. But before that, let's take some measurements. So before I remove all the connections in the crawl space, let's look at the speed we have in the inlet. So this is the inlet for the Undercellar, and we are at 1.4 meters per second. Here we have 1, okay, and there is the last inlet which allows the air to travel through this part of the crawl space, which is not so crawlable. So it's a confirmation that the air is going through my crawl space, and it's all going through this pipe and out of the cellar. I have the Undercellar, I have this crawl space, I have the other part of the crawl space, all going into this old VMC without the motor, and this is going into the main pipes in the cellar. What I want to do for the moment is remove this part from the circuit. The idea with this setup was to avoid this condensation in here, but if I can't avoid it, I will have only this outlet. We'll see what it does. It's much more dry than the last time. But right now I have only the inlet of the trapdoor just here, and I don't want a short circuit between the trapdoor and the outlet. What I want is air being sucked in from the trapdoor but distributed in the area. So what I want when the trapdoor is open, I want this to be tight. So when the trapdoor is closed, it's a bit sagging, but not too much that I have a low point or something like that. I have the pipe all the way out there, so this means the air will go through here and maybe circulate a bit more. It's not drooping much. Let's hope it's enough. Okay, this is temporary. And if this is working, I'll do something permanent with solid ducts. So I think it's a good thing I did that. After doing that, I don't have as much condensation in the pipes now. I'm not sure if it's this step I took or if it's just the temperature warming up a bit in the cellar. After that, I needed to tackle the plenum that was rotted. I wasn't comfortable with letting it that way, so I ordered a metal one, galvanized steel, so it shouldn't rot, it shouldn't grow mold as the last one. So at first glance, I'm a bit disappointed. It doesn't look like it did in the pictures on the website. Oh, will I make this work? And the inside. So much dust. So the two white ports are 10 centimeters. I didn't use them in this configuration, and I don't think I will use them because I have enough with the two main here that are 125 millimeters. Yeah, so I will only put those two back. And I had put some silicone seal between the 3D print and the wood, and I think I'll do that again. Great. So I was cleaning the other one and it also broke. Yeah, so clearly design error on my part here. We need to print two of those, and I will add a chamfer in here at the corner so I have more material to hold. I have those ones which I didn't use, and they are 10 centimeters instead of 125. And for the secondary cellar, the poop cellar, I only have 10 centimeters duct, so this could work. I don't see why it wouldn't work. And maybe I'll put a second 100 to have an extension if I need something, maybe for later, if like a dust extraction, something, some dehumidifier who needs an air extraction. So this is the final state of the box. Making the hole went pretty well considering. I only had issues in here with the space to put the saw, and I broke a blade, but fortunately I had another one. Okay, so I've printed the piece. I've made some modifications, so the idea, it will be in that orientation, is that the duct will come here, and if there are any water, it will be caught in this low point. I'm pretty sure I will have water in the box anyway, because it will condensate easier on the metal surface than maybe in the duct, but on the wooden plenum, the water came in the duct. If it's still the case, I have at least a bit of trap before it enters the box. So this is a reserve. So this part is hollow, and I have placed a hole at the bottom. And I shortened a screw, put a O-ring on it. There is a good chance it doesn't work in the end, but at least I tried. So now let's put everything together with silicone. So this is finished, everything is installed. This is not too straight, but no worry, it won't matter too much. So I have a bit of silicone everywhere. I put one inside, so if I have water coming in, it won't seep into the cracks between the folded sheet. And what I will do is try to slope the box a bit that way, so if I have water it will accumulate here and not leak with the front panel. Alright, so it's done. I always forget how annoying those things are. This definitely will change. I'm not happy with the way the ducts are attaching and everything. But it's on, it's sturdy, it's resting on the two plates here and also in here. So I have given it a bit of a tilt this way and this way. So if I have water, it will accumulate here, and it's better than nothing anyway, and hopefully my moisture trap will work. Interestingly, we have a lot of condensation in here because the fan hasn't been running, and the natural flow of the cellar is from this street to the other. So it's been very cold outside, so cold air has been here and made the humid air in the cellar condensate on those pipes. So with this system, I am going against the natural flow of the cellar. I think it's way better this way because I have this room here, the venting opening in here, and on the other side, the vents are over there, so way less accessible. Okay, so it's been a while now. I'm about to publish the video, so let's look if we have water. No. So no water in the tank and no water seeping outside the pipes going into the bucket. And here we don't have any water on the bottom, so let's check my little port. No water either. And let's take a look inside the box. And it's holding itself because it's sucked in. And no water inside either. Really happy with that for the moment. And after the change, let's look at the difference. So I'm a bit lower in here. We are lower in here also. And on the last one, yeah, strangely, no, it's not strange, but this has gained the most. And I think it's because it's the less restricted of them all. There is no pipe behind this one, whereas in the undercellar there is a pipe to distribute the air at the bottom of the undercellar, and in the crawl space we added the pipe from the trapdoor to the end of the crawl space. I would prefer a bit more in the undercellar, so I will see how to make that happen. And that's about it for this part. So I think I will have condensation in the pipe. One way or another, unavoidable, because I have such different temperatures between different areas, between the outside and the cellar and between the undercellar and the cellar. And even in the secondary cellar, the poop cellar, it's much colder, especially in the summer. The main concept is one way I will have air going in, and the other way I will have water dropping in and condensing and going one way. So I need to have all of my ducts sloped towards the low point of the network, and the low point of the network will be in the crawl space. It will take a bit more time because I will need to really think about the dehumidifiers. I think I will need some dehumidifier at some point, and I have to think about the wastewater from the dehumidifier and all the wastewater I could have in the cellar, and trying to pipe them and direct them towards this low point and sump pump. All in all, I think I've made progress. I've understood the issue way better than I had before. I'm learning along the way. This ventilation and condensation, and it's been kicking my ass. So if you see me blundering and making huge mistakes, please tell me about it if you're knowledgeable in that area. So thank you for having watched this video, and I will see you in the next video, and this time we'll be working on the last wall.